everybody. Well, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in if you are today. And if you're watching later, awesome. That's cool too. Please don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps us out. As always, I am Tarah Una, your hostess with the mostest with the Custom A Go-Go show brought to you by Gnarly Magazines. Speaking of magazines, have you guys picked up your latest subscription? Because we are on number 18 right now with 19 right around the corner. So you can pick up both if you like. Go over to the website, gnarlymagazine.com. Pretty easy with the G. And you know what? I'm pretty stoked because I am getting to talk to a firecracker of a lady today, Barbie the Welder. So I am so stoked. Hi, Barbie.
Hello, Tara. How you doing, hon?
I'm so good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming and I know you're a busy person and getting out of the garage and taking a shower and everything to be here. So I really appreciate you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Right? We appreciate you. So I guess we'll just kind of get started. Like I was telling you, as always, I really just don't like to stick to a standard set of questions, but I am very interested just personally, like about you, your story. I think it's always really interested when you do find women in the trades field that usually men dominate, but we're quickly coming up. There's more of us women, which I think is really awesome. So how did you get your start? How did you learn to weld?
So actually, I go back to BOCES and auto mechanics when I was in high school, and we were talking 93, 94. My senior year, I actually fought for it since ninth grade and dealt with a bunch of sexism and couldn't get into it. I finally got into auto mechanics. I got in for BOCES. I went to college for it for a couple of semesters and worked in the industry for a couple of years. It was my first love, but I dealt with a lot of sexism and just fell out of love with it after a while. Did a whole bunch of odd jobs, including, my most funnest one ever was the adult bookstore. The worst one ever was working as a maid, a lot of delivering pizzas in the middle of there, and just eventually got to a point where welding showed up in like the weirdest way. Is like I sat down with my neighbors to watch a movie, and the movie was Castaway starring Tom Hanks, and in the beginning of the movie, this woman is welding these angel wings.
Yeah.
If it had been a man or if it had been something other than angel wings, I feel like it just wouldn't have caught my eye. But like, I have a thing with wings and flying and just, I don't know. It was just like the sparks were everywhere. And it was just like this, it was like this wild spot that I just like, I can't explain it other than like I saw it. I knew I was meant to do this, which just sounds ridiculous. No. I'd never welded before and did not think that I was artistic, but I was just like, this is what I was meant to do, so I went after it.
Wow, that's incredible. That's so cool. I like that because I really liked that part also, that she was a woman as a young girl. When I was watching that, I was like, that's so cool. They did not put like a dude in that. Like I also saw that. So that's really cool that you identified that. And then to identify with it so much to actually put into motion to actually learn to weld. So how old about did you start that?
I'm like running math.
Yeah, you don't have to answer my bad.
I think like 30 or 32-ish. Okay, I think cool. Right around 30, 32.
Okay.
Let's see, 2007, 31. So 2007, born in 76. 76, baby.
Did you have like anyone around you that helped you get into that type of a field, or did you just say, this is what I want to do?
Nope. At the time, I actually was working for myself. So in like all the odd jobs, I ended up working for myself, it's like selling stuff on eBay and then just like hauling scrap metal. I was pretty unhappy and just happened to see that thing and was just like, yeah, I'm going to go and do this. And I didn't have any money. I didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. I had a family of 5. We were on welfare. Like I was working my ass off, but just going nowhere. It's just one of those things. It's just like 7 days a week and just I couldn't even, there was more week than money at the end of it kind of thing. And so
that's incredible.
I was like everyone thought I was just bat crap crazy. I was like, I'm gonna go and do this. Bug just landed on my nose. Hello. Like I'm just gonna go and do this, and like everyone is just like, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, it doesn't make sense. Like just dealt with all of it, and then like there wasn't money. And so when I went to my husband, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go and be a sculptor. And he was just like, no, which, I mean, it made sense. No. Like, why would you put money in, you know?
Yeah.
But I went to BOCES to ask him if, because I was like, I figured BOCES. I went to BOCES for auto mechanics. I was aware of it. I was like, do they have the welding program? I remember that they did have it when I was a kid.
Okay.
And so they told me it was $1,200. And like that year, we had, I'd ended up earning like to all together for the entire year, it was $10,000 for a family of 5. So like 12 grand or $1,200 for welding was just like not even didn't even make sense. There was no, like, no, you know. And so I just made this defiant decision. I'm like, I can't explain. I'm like, I need to do this. Like, this is what I'm going to do, basically.
It's your calling.
Like,
yeah.
And so just went and saved up and started.
So you obviously went to the school. And so what was one of the first things that you can remember putting together? Or did you have to do like a class project, or what was one of the first things?
The first thing was we got to plasma cut. Mr. Ostrom, so Jim Ostrom, thank you, Jim Ostrom. I love you so much. Thank you. My teacher for BOCES was just like the most incredible human ever. He was perfect for me as far as like how I learn. Like, I grew up with my dad doing the like, here's a hammer and a bunch of bent nails, go straighten them out, don't hurt yourself. And it was just kind of learn as you go. Like, you hammer your finger a couple times, you figure out how to
don't do that no more. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Right? Stove is hot, Barbie. It's fine. So Mr. Ostrom taught the same way my dad did. He goes, here's a plasma cutter where, you know, here, like, be safe, don't burn your eyes out, kind of thing. I mean, like, it was safer than that, but just, it was the same environment that I was learning in. He gave us a play, like basically the whole class stood around. He's like, this is how the plasma cutter works. Who wants to go? And I'm like, me. And so, like, I'd get up there and cut my name out. And I mean, just like, I already knew I was in love with welding long before I even struck my first arc. And long before I'd even seen, and this is probably one of the reasons that everything just kind of clicked into place. In 2001, when Biker Build Off came out on TV, like, I was on it. And like Monster Garage and these TV shows, Junkyard Wars, they had this metal fabrication in it that was just gnarly. And I looked, yeah. I get a point for that, right?
Yeah.
Ding, a little point goes up.
You get a gold star.
That was like the gnarly shit. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Well, when I saw that in the movie, it all just kind of, like, all of it. I mean, I binged it on TV. That was good TV for me. That was like the one time, which Fortune Fire is really awesome too. And I just like, that was like the thing. And I'm like, I was just drawn to it. Now, I never imagined myself being able to do any of that stuff, but was attracted to that, like that stuff, the fabrication. So when everything happened, it just kind of like was like this perfect storm of like, you know, like all of like just all of it.
So how did you go from like learning in school to actually welding and plasma cutting to just pretty much where you're at now? Because there's obviously a bridge. Did you get a job somewhere and start working? How did that happen?
Yes. So super bridge. This is a large bridge. So because I dealt with a whole bunch of sexism in the automotive industry, like I had no idea how I was going to go to be a sculptor. I knew welding was the first step. I had no friggin' clue what to do after that, but I sure as hell wasn't going to go and work for the man, any of them, because I'd done with that in the industry. The industry is like an auto mechanic, and I just assumed everything was the same. And it was just like, I had just no desire to go and work for someone else. I'm like, 10 grand a year was shit, but also it was sure better than like what I was dealing with in the workforce. And so I'm like, you know, lesser of two evils is what my thought was. Well, when the school was 6 months, it was 104 hours. It was just a very short time. When it got short time, Jim was just like, my teacher says, you know, you should go over to Cameron Manufacturing Design and go and see Kenny Wood over there. It's a local custom fab shop in Horseheads, New York, which was, you know, right down the road from where I lived, and where up until 6 months ago, where I lived and did all the art was up in New York State. And so he's like, go see Kenny. And I'm like, I had just zero desire to go work for anyone. And so I was just like, no, didn't go. Well, long story short, because I wouldn't go, my teacher knew I needed to be doing something. he saw my passion. I picked it up really fast. I was able to, like, when he gave me a project, he'd be like, hey, can you make a metal rack like that one that's over there that's holding the metal? I can go out into the hopper and I could do it. Now, my welds were pretty ass, but I can do it. And so, I mean, like, I could copy things. I could see it and I could say, okay, this is this tall. And so I could do that. So he saw that, and, like, he ended up taking the whole class of 12 people over to Cameron on a class trip because I wouldn't go by myself, because I got over there and I saw the mills and the lathes and, like, the welders and all the stuff that I was seeing on the TV show that I'd seen on the TV shows in back in, like, 2001, and going forward with all the biker build off shows and stuff. They had all these machines in this shop, and I was like, yo, no kidding. I think, like, Orange County Choppers had just gotten like a 5-axis mill, like, where they were, like, making their own rims, and, like, they had the same machine at this shop, and I just, like, lost my shit, and I was like, you got me. And so, thinking that I was worth about friggin' $9 an hour, I asked for $10 an hour, figuring it would give me wiggle room, and they offered me $13 an hour to start. Now, I've got I had 3 kids, with my 2 boys and a stepdaughter that, like, you want to talk about life changing. Like, not only am I now
you're a
doing what
mom
I
too.
love, but doing what I love, but now I'm able to support my family doing what I love. And so I was hired at Cameron Manufacturing, and that's where I learned, like, truly learned, like, the art of welding and the art of fabrication. I knew enough to pass the welding test, but there's a whole lot more, like, the practical use of welding. And then welding is one thing, fabrication is a whole nother animal. And so I learned, and man, I was fucking awful at welding when I started. I'm still learning, y'all. Like, I've been welding for 15 years. 15 years, I am still learning. There's so much I do not know. And it's just so much fun, because there's always something to learn. Like, I'll never get bored, which is what I did at every other job I've ever had. But yeah, the fabrication is how I learned to do the art.
So what do you remember? What was, like, one of maybe the first things that you ever worked on and constructed that made you kind of go into the direction where you're at right now? Because you do a lot of art things I've seen, like Johnny pulled up a little bit earlier. So what maybe was the first one? Do you remember?
Yes, I do. So I learned to weld and fabricate so I could do the art. The whole purpose the entire time was to be a full-time artist. And so everything I did led me to that. The first thing that I ever made as a piece of art was the first Christmas that I was at Cameron. I made my mom and dad, and I asked permission to get scrap out of the hopper. I took a piece of bar, steel, and a bunch of little circle punch outs, and I made 3 sunflowers for my mom and dad and gave it to them for Christmas. They still have that. It'll probably be like the bazillion dollar.
I love that.
Yeah, they still have that one. And then, like, a couple years later, I taught my son to TIG weld, and he made another one that was a single one.
Oh, how cool! And how old is your son?
Shit, he's 18 now. He was 5 then.
I mean, it's pretty brave to not only, your husband, your partner, to tell you no, and you be like, no, this is really what, like, my calling is. But on top of that, to have the pressure of supporting children as well, like, that's an extra layer. Like, I didn't get that part before, but that's pretty incredible. And now, like, you've taught your son. Is there any other kids that are interested in it, or?
I've actually taught several kids how to weld. So I taught my son to TIG weld when he was 5, just by setting him on my lap. So every year, work would have a picnic, and they would give, like, the people that give out, like, awards, and, like, they do all this stuff. And because I was, like, new and early, like, they give, like, the people of 30 years. Like, I mean, like, this company is, like, it's an incredible company to work for. I was blessed to have the honor. But they had, like, long time, and, like, they have a bunch of stuff. Well, I would. Sorry, like, good thing they can't fire me. I would sneak my kid, and they're like, well, they're doing the picnic. I'm like, eat all the good food. I would, like, they're doing the awards and stuff, and I would, like, take my son in the shop and put my weld hood on him, put the gloves on him, put my shirt on him, put him on my lap, and, like, the TIG had the button on it, and I would tell him, like, push the button, let go, push the button, let go, and I would, we arranged all the little, they're just, like, they are 16 gauge punch outs that were just like thick enough so that like my kid could just like push the button, let go, and just had it. So like it would just tack it. It was just a simple tack welded project. Well, he just got to sit there and then just like I just clean it up and we just bring it out, like, you know, sneak it back out. And the weld project. Well, every year for like 3 years, he would come into the shop, and then when I got my when I saved up and fixed my credit and bought a house, which I had bought a garage. It had a house attached to it apparently.
Awesome.
I and then bought machines and then started doing the welding at home. And then like every Wednesday, Jordan would come into the shop and it would be workshop Wednesday. And as long as he was handling his business at school, he could come into the shop on Wednesdays and he would do an art project I would set up for him. And after a few months of that, like he was like 8 by the time, let's see, 2011, he was like 8, running math, 7. He was 7. And so like around 7, 8 years old, like he actually started like designing his own projects. Like he was doing it so much that he was able to go in and see, like he could see that the fork can be the hair, and like he can bend the hands to, you know, bend it for hands, and like he'd go in and make me a business card. He's like, I'd have to turn my back so he could like weld me a surprise.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And he got a leg up. So, I mean, when he's your age, he's going to be able to be ahead of the curve, as they say, I guess. But
he hasn't welded in years. Like he actually, like at 11, he stopped welding at like 10, got into blacksmithing for a year from 10 to 11, did a Damascus knife and was like, I'm done. Like whatever. And then went into cooking, which I was happiest about the cooking.
Okay. That's cool though. Yeah, I guess it comes in and out. That's still, I mean, still valuable lessons to be learned as a young guy. So that's pretty cool. So I know you've made lots of art projects, and we talked a little bit about where some of your things have gone. Is there any galleries or anything like that where some of your art projects are, and what are your favorite ones?
So I don't currently have anything in an art gallery. I did years ago. And actually, like, I love that you asked that. It's so wild. So I'm actually, which I moved down to Pompano Beach, and I'm going to be looking for an art gallery right around here locally to put some stuff in. So.
And where is that for people
Pompano Beach, Florida. So I am very South Florida on the East Coast.
Awesome.
So
I love Florida.
South of, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to move somewhere warm all my life. And 6 months ago, I gave myself basically just like the gift of a lifetime. Like, my youngest 18 years old, so it's
time.
Time
you're
for
old
Mama
enough.
Bird to fly the coop.
Yeah, that's so cool though. And now you get to move on to a new stage, and like you said, there's, you know, look for another gallery, and who knows where those opportunities can take you. But we were talking a little bit about Sturgis. So you have done some things for Sturgis, and you said Full Throttle Saloon, is that right? And for anyone who hasn't been out there, it's amazing. Like just welder mecca, like the structure itself is just incredible.
So 5 years ago, I was out at the Full Throttle Saloon, and while I was out there, I was invited out there to weld Harley Davidson's Hog, which is Harley Owners Group, to weld their sculpture. It's their 35th anniversary. I was commissioned to weld that sculpture live out at the Full Throttle Saloon. By Jesse James Dupree, a lead singer for Jackal, the band. Oh my God, amazing. And so that was presented to Jackal on stage at the Full Throttle during the Jackal concert, which is just incredible, a total rock star, amazing, incredible moment. I drove home and then welded the Harley Davidson's 115th anniversary sculpture at my house, and then drove that one out to, holy crap, Wisconsin. I'm like, this is just, I'm like a mind blowing, like, holy crap, I need a secretary to keep track of the stuff I do. So this year, so those sculptures, like that was Harley Davidson, all that. So this year I'm going to be out at the Buffalo Chip, and I will actually be unveiling a sculpture out of the Buffalo Chip. One, you got to check out both places. They're both freaking amazing.
Really are.
So right. The Full Throttle is just mind blowing.
They are.
There. It's just a complete and utter just, it honors and showcases tradesmen, blue collar, you know, which is just like, I love it so much. These guys are Michael Ballard and Jesse James Dupree did an absolutely amazing job on that property. Just incredible. So Full Throttle.
So what were the things that you welded out there? So what were the things that you welded?
those two were for Harley Davidson. So that was the 115th. Well, that one was welded at home and presented in Milwaukee. The 35th anniversary was welded at Sturgis. So the 35th anniversary sculpture for Hog was welded at Sturgis. So this year I'm going to be out at Sturgis, but I'm going to be over at the Buffalo Chip, and I'm going to be unveiling a sculpture out there that is, we're talking about a year and a half since it's been finished. There's been a bunch of interesting turns of events, but it is finally going to be unveiled. So 2 years ago, I don't even know the dang timeline. This has been a while. So this has been a long time in the coming. So
can you talk about what it is, or is it going to be a surprise? Okay.
Nope. This one I can talk about what it is. I'm super stoked about this. So this is the tradesman. His name is a tradesman. He is Jack of all trades. He is a 6 foot tall steel sculpture with tools incorporated in it. It's a life-size man that I welded that has been built to honor and showcase skilled trades and tradesmen and women, and all the opportunities available in the skilled trades. People from all over the country. So when I first went to create this sculpture, I didn't know what it was going to be. I crowdsourced the idea. I went on my this on my social media, and it's like, what are the trades? What would a sculpture that represented the trades look like? I had 9 frigging pages of ideas from people. People are so incredible. So that's me creating.
And you said his name is Jack?
His name is Jack, for Jack
of all trades. Okay,
so,
I get you.
There's got like a little name tag on there.
Cool.
So I took Jack Daniels because it is what it is, y'all. Like Jack Daniels, we can talk, man. I took Jack Daniels' logo and I just took their font that says Jack, and I use that for the font on his name. But people from all over the country sent in tools that they used, their grandparents used, that their parents used. These are tools that are family treasures.
Oh, wow.
And they sent them to me. These tools were then, I took them and incorporated them into the sculpture. So you can see, like on that sculpture, he has, let's see, across his arm here is, it's a bulldog wrench. It's for the railroad. It's a wrench that my friend's great-grandfather used when he worked on the railroad. There's like a giant auger down the front of his leg. 10 trades altogether are represented through the tools that were sent in. Farming and carpentry, masonry, welding, truck driving. Like there's just like this electricians. There's like the gamut of them. Plumbers. I think there's a plumber one on there. I'm like, I didn't put a plunger on there. I probably should have. That would have been great.
But you got 10 in there. That's actually pretty impressive. That's truly impressive and amazing, because that's, like you said, you're just, representing tradesmen and women and women. And so that's something definitely that you're truly passionate about, because you spoke a little bit before about, just sexism and in this trade being a woman and harassment that you have to put up with. But you still found your way.
Not have to. It happens sometimes.
There you go. Yeah.
It happens sometimes.
You never have to put up with it.
Because if you're not being treated with love and respect, move on. Like, try to handle it in the best possible, most respectful way. And if it doesn't get handled, fucking, kick rocks, man. Like, I don't stay where I'm not appreciated. It sucks. It exists. Mostly it doesn't. Let me say this. Like, when I went to Cameron Manufacturing and Design, I was treated like a queen. I showed up. I worked like I do at any fucking job that I've ever been at. I show up. I work my ass off, man. I work really hard just because that's how I was raised. It's because craftsmanship is everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Craftsmanship is everything. It's paying attention to the little details. And all those details matter. And I've always been about that because that's who my dad is. And I was blessed to be raised by this brilliant craftsman who would never call himself that, but is just a brilliant jack of all trades. Like, this is an honor. My dad, I've got a scribe in the arm. It's my dad's. It was his dad's. And so it's just I love that. Blessed by this. And so it's, if you got skills, people, take them somewhere else, man. Take them where you're appreciated. You deserve top dollar and you deserve to be treated with respect. Don't be cocky about no shit, though. Bring the skills.
Calm down.
Bring the skills. Don't run
Be
your
humble.
fucking mouth. Run your welder. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
handle your shit. Show them the skills, and then
Yeah,
get paid for it.
And I mean, you're obviously, you know, someone you could look up to in the area because of where you've gone. You know, you've done all those things to know better. So definitely take that advice from you. But I know too, you've done all the things. So you're also an author as well. And so do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah,
Because this
that's
was
what
news to me when I was doing a little digging on you. I was like, what? Like it gets cooler? No. Yeah. So what are your book? What is it about?
Well, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. Like,
Yeah, no, I
absolutely.
really mean it. I
So
so
super
enjoy this. I
thoughtful.
so enjoy like getting to be able to talk to amazing women, especially in this industry, but let alone ones that are multi-talented, you know?
Oh, thank you. So, writing a book is like the craziest thing ever. Like, it's even crazier than like how I became a welder. I'm like, I just feel like I'm like, dude, if I didn't live this, I feel like I would call bullshit on myself. So, one, I got kicked out of 2 schools in the same year. I was awful in school. Like 10th grade, I got half a credit for the entire year. I got kicked out of the school, the normal school, and then I got kicked out of the school for the bad kids because I was just that human being. I'm an overachiever. I'm proud of it, man.
Me
But
too.
English was like the fucking worst, man. Like I have like people speak 2 languages and are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like my English is not so good." I'm like, "English is my first language, and I am not so good." Like, just like holy crap!
Well,
I'm
that's
not
why they
perfect.
say, you know, college is not for everyone. That's why our tradesmen are important. We have to have a building for people to go to school in, and someone has to build that building. So, you know, we need our trades men and women. So if school's not for you. But what were your 3 books about? Because Johnny just pulled up the 3 titles there.
So
And so
that's 3 of. I got 3 that are how to weld art. So 3 separate ones, and then those 3 are the inspiration blueprint, which was that is how to design and create your life. It's basically a blue collar, how to make a blueprint about the life that you want, and then how to just go after it. But like it's getting a clear picture. Like what is that blueprint? The artist guide to branding, marketing, selling, and whatever else online. It is basically like I have learned how to do all this stuff, like self-taught with like I was taught how to weld, but self-taught with the art and self-taught with like building a business and a brand. Man, I had no idea I was a business or a brand, and found out the hard way, like by failing magnificently,
right, you got to do
starving
it
a
wrong
whole
to know how to
lot,
do it
and
right.
then teaching myself how to build an online business where I've got art in several countries. I've got like cities and like just mind blowing shit that happens to me with my art. And so every single thing that I've done is in that book. You want to learn, like, if you know how to make art and you are a starving artist, which I'm going to wipe that fucking term off the face of the earth. That book teaches you how to do the success part, how to make money. You know how to make art. That teaches you how to make money online. I was living in a town of 1,900 people. We didn't have a fucking stoplight or a Dollar General. The Dollar General was in the town next to us. We were so small, we didn't even get the Dollar General. I sold art to, and I just moved down here like 6 months ago. So 8.5 years of being a full-time artist in a town of 1,900 people. I hit 15 countries. My art is in 15 countries. I've sold, 6 books, or written and published 6 books. I've been sponsored by Miller Welders. I mean, like the shit that I've done is amazing. All online, man. It's in that book. You want to be successful? $14.95. You can't afford it. You can't afford the book, and if you're a full-time artist and you can't afford the book, email me at barbiethewelder@gmail.com, and I will fucking send you a copy because we need art, and that's
so
part
cool.
of the philanthropy part. I can't say it. Giving shit away that I love to do. I like to give shit away.
That. And so for anyone who wants to go and get this book, you can go to barbiethewelder.com. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you can find it. We put it up there on the screen for you guys to find. I'm going to read these books now, like, because I mean, I make money at my art. I'm very lucky, and like you said, all self-taught because I've done it wrong enough to go, oh, that doesn't work. Go in this direction. Yeah. So, but it's great to have a guide. Essentially, you know, if you read first, you could probably shave off a lot of things of what not to do.
Yes.
So that's amazing that you've put that out there and you're offering that. So just so you guys want to go to barbiethewelder.com, you guys can pick those up. And you kind of talked a little bit about the no, I can't say it. The philanthropy.
Like, I'm just telling
What's
you,
happening?
Philanthropy.
Yeah, so there it goes. But so I knew, I was like, I say it all day until we got on here. It's because we're live. But philanthropy. So you have a whole motto of built, not bought. And so yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
So what I'm working, the philanthropy is basically giving stuff away. I have been beyond blessed in my life to just living a life beyond my wildest dreams today, man, and improving. And I personally have found that, like, in the beginning, I gave away art because I couldn't sell it. I didn't know what I was doing, and so I gave it away because I didn't have room to keep all of it. Philanthropy ended up going into just like, I really found joy in creating and then serving others. Like, there's like when I started making money, I was like giving money away. I'm like, that was cool, but like found that like by giving art away, it just felt so much better. And then moved into, I am in the process of working on Mission Built Not Bought, which is the built not bought part of what you were talking about, which is teaching kids and just human beings. It's that built not bought. It's working for what you have, and then enjoying the process of the struggle of working, sometimes the struggle, sometimes the joy of working for what you have. It's about building self, building self, building self. It's the things that we build us. And so I'm using that in craftsmanship, and I am working on creating this Mission Built Not Bought, which is to use the trades to like honor and showcase the trades, but also teach kids this built not bought mentality of just building self by, you know, working on self, building things that build us. And so it's just, we have and I'm super guilty of it, man. I Amazon the shit out of everything, right? It's just so easy to, like, down, like at home I had to wait for like 2 days shipping. Down here I can like order something in the morning and get it at night. Like, I've got shit. They should be knocking on the door pretty soon. I'm like, I ordered that. Like,
I actually stopped because I run a small business from home. I stopped orders on Wednesdays because it seemed like, why is my dog barking like 15 minutes before the end of the show? I was like, oh, Amazon. Like, yeah. But so is there anything in your home? When I was reading that, and I was totally inspired by your words. One of the questions in my, you know, little brain to bring up during the show, is there anything in your home that you've made for yourself that is functional that you use all the time?
The number one thing, and it's not in my home, it's in my shop, it's Davy Jones. The Davy Jones space is a hammer holder. So I made, it's on my website. I think it's the second or third picture down is on the website, where it's just Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean, and then I made his tentacles, and I made them come down so that they looped around where they would hold all the
that's so cool.
Yo, that is like my favorite, and people are like, how much? And I'm like, I told him 15 grand, but I would like cry like a bitch if someone actually did try to buy it. Like, I just couldn't.
That is so cool.
So in my move, I love that you asked like functional art. Girl, I've got something for you, and you can have like the scoop on this. I have had so much fun. So like, if you go to an art gallery, this is why I pulled some stuff from an art gallery, but also I'm like, I've had different things. Like, I'm excited to go back into a gallery for just some really just cool stuff, man. And it's my business has just done some really wild growing in the last 6 months in this move. But I've come to a realization is that the functional art makes me the happiest. And so in my sculptures, that's what I'm going to. Like, my last major one was the High Seas Rally treasure chest, where the tentacles, there was an octopus on the back, and that held a bottle of rum, like a hidden bottle of rum. And then I made a hidden lock on the side of it, and the lock was, there's a compass rose on the side of this treasure chest, that like in order to unlock the treasure chest, you had to figure out that the compass rose actually turned.
Wow.
And like this is a metal sculpture, but it's like something you play with and touch. And you go to an art gallery, like, oh, I don't touch, and it just I'm a big
Right.
kid.
Usually.
I want to poke shit with a stick.
Right. You're like me too. It's like, don't press that button. I'm like, oh, like, yeah, that's totally.
I want to touch the wallpaper. Like when
I
wallpaper
love
looks
it.
good, I have to touch things. Like I have a texture thing. I'm just like a deeply just I need to touch and poke things and just experience things physically.
Yeah. That's so cool. And
So,
that's so interesting that I picked that up because like I said, I looked through your stuff and was really trying to like get inspiration for myself to ask you questions, and that just popped out to me. I was like, ask her about like usable functional art. That's really interesting. But yeah, that's so cool. I'm glad I asked that because I am fond of tentacles. That's like whenever I was painting or doing my art, it's octopuses are always something that I'm drawn to, and that's one of my
what is
better
that?
colors. I'm a
Completely
taxidermist.
freaking same.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, I was just like, I'm so like interested in what you're saying right now, but that's so cool. And I mean, having your hammer and being useful, because then it doesn't feel so much like you just maybe have a piece of art that's just like laying around. It's a functional, it's purpose, it's bringing life to like the life around you. That's so cool. I love that. So what other things maybe are you going to make in the future? Do you have any more ideas of functional pieces?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Actually, I've got I have three. I'm like, do I have three or two? I have two. I've always got stuff. I've got two sculptures I'm actually working on both at the same time. I've got one that I started. So like the first thing, like I just got the shop set up like a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and there's still been like I'm still just getting my space set up. I was in my other space for like 8.5 years, and
Yeah,
I'm like
moves are
doing
hard.
this. I'm having like these like I thought I needed this giant friggin' shop, and that's been like the like my dream has been like oh, I gotta get this big shop. I'm gonna do big art in this big shop. And in this move, like my shop is fucking like half the size of like the 1 car garage. I'm now in like a half a car garage. People are gonna lose their mind. Like the more they actually like pull a tape and see what I'm working on. So I'm like, it's been like this stutter start, kind of like interesting start, but I've got this really just, I'm over the moon stoked about this piece that just brainstorm I've been wanting to do for a while is a anglerfish. And so I've designed this anglerfish that's got a secret hidden compartment, but I'm not telling you where. And so like that one's, I'm like, you'll see, I'll show you. I'll spoil it eventually. But then I'm also working on, and I just started on this one a few days ago, is a commission. So the reason I stopped the anglerfish is I've got a commission scheduled, and this commission is for I won't spoil the whole thing. Like there's a whole story around this. Like I say no to almost everything. Like when people ask me about commissions, it has to be something that will make me cry, or just yeah, it has to end up making me cry. Like honestly, it just has to have some kind of emotion. It either has to be functional or it has to have some kind of emotion tied to it. I need to be completely freaking sold on it. If I am not like 5 o'clock in the morning, like in my shop going, I just hurry up, turn on the lights, like let's go. Like I don't want to be involved. It's like 100% or nothing. And so this one is for a gentleman who um, it's so personal. His wife passed away. They were married 11 years, and his wife passed away. During the marriage, she got a disease. As part of that, she lost her ability to communicate, and so the family learned sign language. And this is I love you in sign language.
It is, yeah.
And I'm like this. I'm rock on all the time, but this is another one like I love you. Sign language has been a little bit of a like it is like been woven in and out of my life, interestingly, and so this just really spoke to me. This gentleman approached me to make a sculpture that was an arm and a hand of I love you. He had a plaster, I believe it was like a plastic or plaster kind of mold, and please don't like that's not the right word for it, but it was some kind of like a just a plastic sculpture of I love you hand that was given to him by a friend when his wife passed, but now the friend has had someone pass, and so he wants to give this back, but didn't want to give it back without having a sculpture. And so was following me online, and asked me if I'd be willing to make him this sculpture. So yes, that was a no-brainer, but it's going to be a hitch for his truck so that he can,
How cool.
right? It's functional.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all the
Functional.
things. And so it's this it's a stainless steel, it's his arm. I'm sculpting his arm. So I've got him, he's sent me
Okay.
all these so now that he could he could just send his love and share this with just whoever, with
I love
everybody, with
that.
the world. And so yeah, just these are the things that I'm like, just yeah.
Well, thank you for doing that. That's so cool. Yeah, that's so rad. So, if anyone wants to watch you build these things, do you ever put this stuff on Instagram, on your stories? How do they go and find you and follow all these amazing art pieces and projects that you do?
I've been completely lax on social media in the last 6 months. I have taken some time off for bad behavior. I appreciate you guys being so friggin' patient, but I will be prolifically returning to, and you'll be watching all of these things. I sculpt live on TikTok. I post
Okay.
on TikTok. I love TikTok.
Okay.
I will also be posting on Instagram, and I'm Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm on all of those. When the sculpture is done, there will be a complete build on YouTube, and that's where you can find. And I am going back into teaching art. I've been out of it just for a long time and miss it like crazy. So, like I said, I'm just getting my business like back up and running. I've gotten things like I've gotten crystal effing clear on what I want to be doing and how I want to be doing it. And so now it's just like there's been like a lot of like the archer like pulling the bow back and resting and just kind of getting my head right and figuring out where I'm going. And now that I have that direction, it's go time. So
Totally. Yeah,
live,
just moving in general is
yeah.
so much. There's so
Oh,
much to just get your home together and your daily routine back to where, you think it feels comfortable again, let alone a whole shop. So that's pretty awesome that you're headed in the right direction. And so when you go out to Sturgis, is there anywhere we can watch that live, or are you going to be posting about that when you do that? Because Sturgis is usually the beginning week of August, right?
I'm
I
like,
think
yes,
so.
I haven't. It's an 18-day trip for me for Sturgis. So
Yeah.
Sturgis is I'm driving up, and it is like I think I am leaving in July. I think I'm leaving July 31st. I think, and it's like the 4th through like the 11th, and then whatever it is. It's like 4 days up, 4 days like back, and then like hopefully week a week or 8 days there. But
Awesome.
they can find me at. I will be spending probably almost all my time at the Buffalo Chip. I'll be doing autograph signings, and they've got the Flying Piston Breakfast. I'll be at the Flying Piston Breakfast. We'll be a guest there, and I think people can buy tickets for that. Please do not quote me on that. You're gonna want to go to follow me on social media. I definitely will be doing a better job of posting. By a better job of like, I'll just show up on social media and hang out with you guys again. I just been doing ratchet hood
There you
rat
go.
shit, riding
And
my motorcycle around Florida and
hood rat with my hood rat
like
friends, hood rat shit with
living
my
in
hood rat
my
friends.
God, living in my bus like a vagrant for 4 months. I've had like the most like I literally just went and did all the things and just have just like
Awesome. It's
yeah.
so necessary though, because being an artist, it's very manic at times. It's hours of work where you're like, did I eat? I don't know. Like you're like, it is. I totally understand that. And it's like when you're creating something and making something, you're like, wow, I should probably get out and be social. Oh, those things. So yeah, there's like
Oh
keeping a
man.
balance on all of that. But yeah, so they can find you if they're following you on TikTok. Is it Barbie the Welder on TikTok?
Yes. So all my social media is Barbie the Welder. I just keep it
Okay.
really simple.
That's simple.
LinkedIn is Barbara Parsons because I was on LinkedIn as Barbie the Welder. I had 30,000 followers and they kicked me off because I didn't follow the rules and I wasn't using my given name. So I will highly suggest that you use your given name. Sorry, LinkedIn.
Well, LinkedIn is kind of proper like that. And we've already talked, you couldn't do the school either. So proper and rules isn't so great for Barbie the Welder because that's who you are. It's your
I appreciate it. I went back on there and followed the rules because I effing love LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an
okay.
amazing, like, if you're an artist, if you're looking to sell high end art, I found out that business owners hang out on LinkedIn. Like I learned that business owners were the ones that were buying my art. And then I go, well, where are business owners on LinkedIn? And so Gary V taught me how to listen to Gary V. He was like, if you're not on LinkedIn, you should be. I'm like, well, Gary, good call. And like went over there. But it was just that I just didn't do what I would, I could have done the Barbara Parsons page and then gone over and like worked on my business page and only worked on my business page, but just I don't know why it didn't just dawn on me to do it, but lost 30,000 followers.
Oh no.
I miss y'all. Come back. So I'm back over there with like 59 followers on LinkedIn and I'm going to build them all back up again.
You'll build them all back up.
2 months, man. I'll be at 60,000. That's what I do.
There
read my book.
Awesome. There, I know, right? You're going to have to read your old book to take highlights. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Awesome.
Some shit,
so is there any other things that you want to talk about, future projects? We already talked about the Buffalo chip. I think we talked about you being an author and your philanthropy. Look, I did it. Yay, look. I said it.
I'm not even going to say it. We're going to like end on that note that you
said. We ended on a high note, man. But yeah, so
let's see. I would like to say thank you. Can I have a moment just to say thank you? Because man, I've got this pretty blessed life that man, I really just I have the most blessed life. I just love to weld shit, man. Like just really love to weld shit. Happened to get really lucky with social media that put stuff out there and people started following it and commenting and stuff, and because that happened, I didn't understand the value of that when I started doing it. But there's just so much that has happened in my life because I put in hard work, but it was all the people that sat there and people just consume my the videos and just I'm so grateful that I feel like I step in shit and just come out with a fucking pony, man. Like I just don't understand how it happens, but just like my life is just brilliant, man. I'm just so grateful for everything that's transpired, and that is because of social media has been a major part of that. And people that are out there and they're like, thank you guys like for listening to this interview, for tuning in, for you guys taking the time to like care what I'm doing and like my little corner of the world. Like, dude, it's fucking gnarly that I get to do what I do. I'm gobsmacked on a daily basis. Like the fact that I get paid for this, it just like I do it for free, but I'm not going to have to because of, just because of. And so just like, thank you guys so much for wanting to interview me, for people that are out there and, listening, like tuning in live, for people that are like after the fact, like, thank you so very much. And if you are going to be out at Sturgis, like come check it out. I'll be out there. Like I'm like all day long just hanging out, man. I don't have a booth set up. I don't think. I might. You never know what's going to happen. We haven't gotten all the details, but come check out the Tradesman. If I don't have it set up yet on my, I talked a little bit about the philanthropy. If you are struggling, I have, and I didn't mention in my book, Fuck You Fuel. I went through, and I'm just really quick. I went through some really savage mental health issues. I went through drug addiction. I went through alcoholism. Fuck You Fuel is, I went through that. I should have fucking died, probably. Thank God I didn't. And so what I've learned through, like, I basically bootstrapped some shit and have pulled myself up from welfare and all that, and I've gotten to where I am. Like, I just took 6 months off, lived on my bus, did hood rat shit, rode my motorcycle around, met the best people, sold my house, and I moved to Pompano Beach where I'm living my best life. And it's just like, I was able to do that because of what I've learned. And there is some mental fucking games that you can play. You're in the most miserable shit ever right now. You can turn it around. The worse your life is right now or has been in the past, the gnarlier shit that you have been through, the more successful you could be. That book tells you how to do it. If you can't fucking afford it, then please email me, barbiethewelder@gmail.com. I will send you a free copy. It is, I feel like, my greatest masterpiece. It's raw and real, and it basically tells you how to turn shit into sugar. it's like that's a philanthropy part. Like I've been blessed, man. Like I don't have it set up on my website yet. I am going to give away 1 billion books. That is my goal, is to give away 1 billion motherfucking books. Because like why? Because I fucking can, and because people need the information that's in them. If you can afford a book, then go buy one. And if you can't afford a book, eventually it's like I have to figure out how to do it. I'm the one that builds my website. I wear all the hats. Have patience if you write me. I'll get back to you eventually. I'm like a fucking sheepishly. I will promise. I will write back. Um, but I'm gonna set up my philanthropy page on my website so that people can donate if they want to. That'll help me. I'm self-funding this whole thing. I don't have a nonprofit. It's, I've given away approximately 100 books so far. It's just I'm on my way. I've given away sculptures before. It's like or parts of sculptures. It's just but the 1 billion books, if you can't afford it, man, like there's information in there. Like if you are struggling, mental health issues, anything, like I've got some links I can send you with stuff. I can like, you need a friend, like email me. Like that's the kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like together we rise, man. Like fucked up shit happens, but we can get through it together by just.
I love this. And I'm smiling so big right now because usually at the end of my interviews, I ask who I'm interviewing, if there's any advice or if they just want to talk freely, to whoever's tuning in today, fans, whatever. But it's like, it's so cool to see these artists. And thank you for sharing that, by the way, and being so transparent about drug addiction, because it's not always wins. And that's one thing social media maybe could play in our minds and our heads, because they do just see the win in a picture, but thanks for sharing that, because it does show that you've been through so much and still come out the other side, and other people can do it too. And like, thank you for sharing that, because I didn't know that about you personally. So that I was like, oh my gosh, this interview could go for so much longer. I have so many more questions now. But the fact that you did pull yourself out of that and up, and continued on, and you're right where you are, is incredible. That's a whole other layer of all the other layers I just learned about you today. But is there anything else that, maybe you want to share if anyone was tuning in today and just ask Barbie the Welder for, advice or words of wisdom or anything you would like to share?
Oh, probably would like to end with my favorite quote ever. Like, not everyone's gonna like you, but then again, not everyone has good taste.
Yes, that's so good. That's a great one. That is so great. I appreciate you, Barbie. Like I said, I know how busy you are. See, Amazon right on time. Good job, Maya. Good job, Maya. So I really appreciate you, though, for taking your time. I know how busy you are, and especially in a move, how chaotic that could be. So I know the guys from Gnarly Magazine and myself so greatly appreciate you for stopping by and sharing your time with us. I am always inspired by these interviews. I am so stoked half the time talking to just amazing people like yourself, because you have gone through it. And like you said, the more shit you go through, I feel like the more darkness you go through, the more enlightened you are. And you're proof of that. And if I am in and around Sturgis, I am coming to say hi to you 100%. I can't wait to meet you in person one day.
Awesome. It's an absolute honor. Thank you so very much for taking the time and talking with me today, man. It means the world to me.
100%. And thank you guys again for tuning into the Custom and Go show, always brought to you by the amazing Gnarly Magazine. I don't know how many of these interviews you guys have watched, but I am constantly inspired. That was so cool. Thank you again, Barbie. We'll catch you next week, always Wednesday. I will see you next time. Tarah Una, out.